Cheryl is my hero. She's making sure that Erin does not have to redo a redo again.
That would be a theme, wouldn't it? Like a recurring theme.
So bad, so bad. Anyway, if you're not, let me just do some, maintenance before I even do the introduction. If you're not already in the Zoom room, you guys are going to want to come on over. There's a very different energy in the Zoom room than there is on Facebook. It feels more private, it feels more personal, and come on over. So you definitely want to be in the Zoom room. And if you don't know how to get there, write that in the comments and Cheryl or I will help you get there. So let me take a minute to introduce our next speaker, Erin Christine. Woo! Yay! Awesome. In spring of 2002, after a profound spiritual awakening during a meditation, Erin Christine found herself living in a curious world filled with magic, miraculous visions and journeys, and an extraordinary sense of self that she had never experienced before. She had just entered the fairy realm and come face to face with her spirit guides, a quirky tribe of beings born out of the Earth's elements, here to care for the planet. She was now on assignment to begin teaching and doing their work to help raise the vibration of this gorgeous planet that we live on. So please help me welcome Erin Christine.
Yay! Hello, everybody. Hello. Yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. God, Jamie, that was wonderful. I almost feel like I want you to go on.
So when you go on, I can probably talk about you for hours and hours without even thinking twice about it. So you guys, we just came off of watching Sunny Dawn Johnston, and Sunny Dawn Johnston is a mentor to both me and Erin, or Erin and me, Erin and I, whatever the right way to say that is. That's who Sunny Dawn Johnston is to us. So we have, even in hearing the stories that she told today, both of us were still, like wiping our tears away because she's just that powerful of a speaker. But because she's such a powerful speaker, she creates powerful speakers. And so Erin is a fantastic disciple, if that's the right word.
Student, I'm a student.
That's right. And thank goodness we all are students, right? Students of all the feels this week, all the feels and the ripple effect.
Yes.
Anyway, Erin and I met in 2010, or was it 2009?
I believe nine.
2009. So it's been a minute. I absolutely love this woman, and I cannot wait for you to hear from her now. So I'll stop talking.
All right, here we go. So this invitation was, at first when I received it, I looked at, Jamie told me the title of it, and the title of this retreat, I was like, what am I supposed to do with that? And immediately in my head, I hear the chant, Red Rover, 2022, come on over. And I was like, well, that makes no sense to me. But then things started to materialize. And I realized that I was being pulled in the direction of play. And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what that meant, how that would show up for everybody. But I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to this. And it has something to do with play. Now, the interesting thing about it is that I never played this game growing up. And Jamie and I were in an interview yesterday, just a quick little interview out to the group. And we were talking about that. And I said, you know what, that's the first time I've said that out loud. I find it very strange that I never played this game. And it made me wonder. And then, after we were done, we went back through the comments, and Cheryl had left a comment that it reminded her of, and I'm going to read because I want to make sure I get her words, but breaking through barriers imposed upon us by others. So envisioning, a game of Red Rover, on the playground, and everybody has their barriers set up, right? And her statement really sat with me. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you really quick and say that because we have people tuning in from all over the globe, they may or may not know what Red Rover is, or the significance of that. So let's describe that game just so that we can put that visual.
Can I ask you to describe it? Because I honestly don't know, because I have no frame of reference. So I don't know. I only remember what I saw. I never played it. So
I absolutely would. I would. Wait, me talk more? What?
Please, thank you.
I would love to. Anyway, I'm just teasing you guys. Red Rover is this game where you pick teams. So this is one of the things about being that kid that you never got chosen for teams and on the playground, right? Back in the day before. Anyway, you wanted the biggest, strongest kids to be on your team, because what the goal, you stood holding hands, and the idea was to hold hands, not make it harder than that, holding hands. And then somebody who was the rover would have to try to run from their team through the other teams and break the connection of the hand holding on the other side from the other team. And what happened when they broke through is they got to take one of the players into their team. So it was almost like you're breaking through and then you get to take something from somebody else. So it's a really interesting game. I totally expect it to be on what is that crazy ass Korean TV show that was going absolutely wild recently. The costumes had to be brought out like at the very last second. I can't remember the name of it, but it's this, anyway, we won't get into the TV show, but it's this powerful image of these kids all lined up. And so the weaker kids are the kids last to be chosen, right? And so they're the kids that of course get picked on. And so they're last to get chosen, and then they're first to end up out because they, anyway, it's a whole thing. We could get into the dynamics of the of what that game even represented, but we won't do that right now. So now you know a little bit about what I know about Red Rover, and I probably didn't even know all of the rules that were supposed to be it. So we'll all Google it after this.
Yes. Okay, so thank you for that. I appreciate that. So in sitting with the idea of breaking through barriers, I came to this space with the intention of that we break through some barriers today. And I'm coming at it from a perspective of play, but it can really be any barrier, any area that you are being held back in, whether by somebody, some organization, some job, or yourself. You know what I mean? I hold myself back like I'm the worst, because I'm the worst with that. So my intention was that everybody watching would be invited to break through whatever barriers are present for them right now, that they're ready to move. Maybe they've been feeling like on the cusp of something, and maybe this is just the thing to push them over to the next, the next level. And I'm going to use elements of play, and it's going to be, the next couple hours are going to be I'm going to ask for your engagement, because I believe that when you take responsibility for your engagement and what you feel inside your body, that's where your reward comes. You're going to break through the barriers and you're going to take that reward, whatever that is for you. Okay, so that is my intention for you all. We're going to do some visualization. We're going to do, I'm going to ask you some questions to explore. So have a paper and writing utensil handy. And this one, you may, if you don't have it handy, I'm going to invite you to go grab something if you're willing. This is how committed are you to being seen in your joy? Okay, that's the question. And the tool I'm going to invite you to go get is a blindfold. So if you are, how willing are you? And if you are willing to be seen in your joy, and it would just be me, I would be the one seeing you, go get yourself a blindfold. You are also welcome to just close your eyes, but there's something really powerful about putting the blindfold on because it removes the inhibitions. When we have just our eyes closed, there's too much, the possibility of opening. Jamie.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is go get a blindfold.
I would love it if everybody got a blindfold. Cindy,
Okay.
I love it.
All right.
Yay.
So I am going to go get, are we going to take a couple seconds? Do we need to get it now? Is this for an exercise
Yes,
later?
you know what? Let's take, what do you think? A minute, 2 minutes?
Sure. 1 minute should be sufficient.
Okay, so take a minute, go grab a blindfold, and I'm gonna actually get ready for the next little piece. Actually, no, I'm not. We've got a couple more things to talk about before we roll into the next piece. You won't need the blindfold for a little bit. So I just wanted you to have it ready. Okay, so take your minute, go grab your blindfold. I'm gonna sit here and hold the space. All right, looks good. Woo, show me that again.
All right, so for Christmas, I get headaches occasionally, and my sister-in-law purchased for me this fantastic. It's like you can turn it on and it rolls around and gets all your eye sockets and massages. So it's fantastic. But I got this one specifically because it will block out the light and it will make me way less self-conscious. I know it will. So
good, good, good. Yay. All right. So that's one piece of this. So like I said, we're going to be doing some visualization. I've got a couple things I'm going to pull from my recent book that play into what we're talking about here today. And then at the very end, we will, at the very end, I'll get to that when we get to there, but that will be when the blindfold comes into play. And then at the very, very end, we will be creating an action plan based on things that we have talked about through, because we're going to go through, like I said, I'm going to ask you some questions to explore your thoughts and feelings and belief systems around play and joy, the feeling of joy. Okay. So is everybody ready? Okay. All right. I didn't say this also, but you're going to need to give yourself a little space. So I'm going to stand up for this next portion. If you feel guided to stand up, I'm going to invite you to stand up. And I'm also going to invite everybody to unmute themselves because you're going to have an opportunity to use your voice. Okay? You're going to have an opportunity to use your voice. We're going to do some chanting. And we're going to be doing some drumming. And after our last presentation, I was looking for a way to kind of prep my own energy to come into this space. And I immediately felt guided to my drum. And I start drumming and chanting, I am ready, I am ready, I am ready. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be doing this with these people, because you just told me that you're going to, you want to break through some barriers today. And I don't know what that looks like for you. And we can explore that when we get into the questions. But this is a beautiful way to begin shifting that energy. It's going to allow your voice to come out, which, you know, when you're speaking things, you're just putting it right out there. It's straight power from your body. So are you ready?
Sorry, I was going to type it, but I'll just say it. On Zoom, because of the delay and because of the echo potential, we may not want to, it will
Unmute.
We might not want to unmute. That said, we can certainly give it a try. And if it's
Okay.
serving its purpose the way that we imagined it to be serving its purpose, we can certainly mute ourselves.
Okay. The idea, at least my hope, is that I want you to hear your own voice. So if you would hear that if you, well, you're going to hear mine, but if I don't need to hear yours, I just want you to hear yours. Does that make sense?
It does. And in that situation, let's just say that, let's just welcome everybody to do it out loud, but keep yourself on mute, just because you know, provided you're in the environment where you can do it out loud and not, have people in the office or whatever look at you like, oh, what's she doing over there? Or maybe you do want them to do that.
She's getting down. Okay.
But
So,
only because, only because it does, because there's enough of a delay when you speak and when I hear it, that there's this, we've tried to sing happy birthday. We've tried to like all kinds of things like that. And it always gets like, you know, slower and slower and slower, so that everybody's trying to match each other, but you can't. It's not possible to. So
this is good learning for me. All right.
But I love this exercise and I'm so excited.
Okay, so give yourself some space. If you feel guided to stand up, I'm going to stand up. And I am going to turn on my fan.
And this part, just to be clear, this part where we're standing up, this is not blindfolded.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, this is not blindfolded. Okay. This is just to get the energy moving for this, because breaking through barriers, we want to shift that energy. So the only words I'm going to use are I am ready. Okay. When you find the beat for yourself, you jump in wherever you feel comfortable. If you hear your own voice or not, because your thoughts are just as powerful. You can even whisper it if you want to. Okay. So I am ready. 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 Come on back. Who's ready? Can you hear me?
All right. So I just want you to know that my fish started dancing with us.
Really? Was the water rippling?
They were like, I am ready. I am ready. Swimming up and down the tank. It was so cute.
And then there's that little one and they're going, oh, you made me ink.
Okay, I'm having trouble hearing you, but I don't know if that's.
So Erin, what's happened is your computer is compensated for your background noise. So you're going to have to crank your microphone up again. You're fine, my friend, but just where the mute button is, if you click on the little arrow beside that and go to audio settings and move your microphone all the way up.
Okay, can you tell me that one more time, but a little bit slower?
Yeah, where the mute button is, you're going to want to click on the little arrow beside that, which will, you can then say, click on the audio settings.
Okay.
And then you'll see when you open up the audio settings, you'll see microphone, take that input level, take that volume button and move it all the way over.
Why is it not moving?
There you go. Talk again.
Is it supposed to be,
You got it now. You're good.
everybody can hear me?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
because I must be moving, I don't know what I'm doing on here because I'm trying to move the volume one and it's just showing on the input, but we're good volume wise.
Inputs where it needed to be shown. So you're
Yeah.
perfect. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Maybe,
Okay. So
I don't know if this is it, Cheryl, but maybe another way is to just mute yourself and then come back on, just because then it like re-picks up where you. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the input level, if she moved it all the way over though, that's exactly got her.
Okay, so we're good then?
You are.
All right. I've been making waves since birth, so that's pretty cool, right? If I can mess up Zoom. So let's talk about some play, okay? Let me see. We were going to talk about today why play is important. It's just one of the aspects. We're going to talk about how we can access it as adults. And we're going to get into defining play and how to possibly redefine play because things look a little different as we get older. And they're, so we're going to start with, we're going to get into some of the questions. And so have your pencil ready. And I want to know, take a moment and think about what is your definition of play? And I'm watching comments as well. So feel free to type in comments, or if you want to speak it out loud, that's fine too.
I'm happy to speak it out loud.
Okay.
To me, play is, I always feel joy in play. There's always an element of happiness. Like when I think of the best sound that I've ever heard in my life, it's when children are playing and giggling with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And giggling is often associated in my mind's eye with play.
Yes. Anybody else want to add?
For some reason, the word unrestricted comes to my mind. Unrestricted.
Mm-hmm.
It full bore enjoyment, no agenda, I guess, for lack of better words.
Yes. Yes. There's absolute freedom. And Robin says lightness and fun. Yes, absolutely. Cindy, did you have any thoughts that you wanted to add?
Having a hard time, but yeah, no responsibility, no bother about what it is. Dance is play.
Yes.
That's
yes.
I like that.
Just a little side note, Cindy, this is the first time I'm hearing your voice, and I love that. I've never heard your voice before.
Have you
so.
not? Boy.
Anyway, thank you.
There's also the this element of no judgment. I know we've kind of skirted around it, but nobody's actually said it out loud. But kids don't care what other kids think for the most part until they become like that awareness kind of turns on them. But that to me is true play, which is probably why that the kids' laughter is so powerful.
Right. Because they just don't care what everybody else thinks. So, okay. So in your definition of play, what does that look like in your world right now? Or in your most recent memory? What does it look like? What are some examples of play?
So we have memberships to a couple of the area parks here so that we can go for a couple hours and not feel obligated to stay all day, right? It's just better that way. But yeah, at those parks, you know, screaming out of joy, giggling as, you know, kids are chasing each other through the park, like probably not what they're supposed to be doing, but it doesn't matter. That's, you know, that's just what kids do, right? Just that having that almost reckless abandon.
I like that. Yes. Anybody else?
Mine would be one-on-one time with a couple of good friends where you're just hanging, like you're simply just being. So whether it ends up being laughter, whether it ends up just being chill time, whether it ends up, you know, us grabbing paintbrushes and painting a wall, like whatever it happens to be, it's just the lack of agenda for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Robin is saying joking around with my brother. Like actual jokes or wrestling, or like, tell me some more about that. Inside family jokes, teasing verbally. Okay. That's very fairy energy. You know that, right? I love that well, I mean, I'm speaking to whoever's watching, but at least the folks that I can see, I can speak freely about the fairy energy, but you know, they're the ones that make me teach on things like this. So oh, you were reunited last year. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. It's been a gift, right? Awesome. That's awesome. So glad for you. All right. Cindy, did you want to add it?
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Out here on Facebook, Charisma says gym membership is play for me. It's like a helpful release.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Cindy, did you want to add anything in? And you can type if you don't want to.
I go along with Cheryl on the reckless abandon, just being free to be me.
And then Robin says, so he tries to get me to play like kids do. And do you surrender to that? So thinking about, he's too corny for me. Okay, that's a thought. Just the things that are popping up. And this is why I came in with questions to sit with, because the way that we respond to these questions will show us those areas that are possibly in need of some love inside of us, of, you know, why we would choose to not engage in something for fear of, you know, being criticized, or, you know, and like I said, I never played the Red Rover game. I don't know why. I don't know why. Charisma loves to swim and the weightlessness of it. That is one of my favorite things as well. I love it, especially when the water goes over my ears and that absolute silence just engulfs your entire body, is like one of the best feelings ever. Let's see. So think about, actually, we're going to get to that a little bit later. The things that you just shared with me in terms of what play looks like for you, is it aligned with who you are or who you want to be? The things that you choose to do and experience as play, is it aligned? Are they aligned with who you are or who you want to be?
Only because I know I can. Interestingly enough, the question that came up for me behind what you just said, or is it aligned with who I think people see me as?
Thank you. Jamie?
So in asking that question, and I had already been on my way to thinking this thought when you asked the question, but I was like, you know what? My answer wasn't about me. It was about somebody else. It was about what I was witnessing, what I was bearing witness to in the idea of play. So play really doesn't exist much for me, and I hate it because it's definitely important. And my husband tries, and Jacelyn, my daughter, tries to get me in that place, in that frame of mind, more often than not, and I resist it something fierce. So.
I hear you. I feel you on all accounts on that. Anybody had anything they wanted to add in?
I think play and joy, and somehow I fight myself on experiencing, feeling, allowing the joy.
Yes, I understand that. This is why we want to explore. We're going to explore, like, what is it that we need to move through to get to that other side? That's where the blindfold comes in. So remember your commitment to me early on. Okay. Okay, Jamie.
All right. You're making me nervous here, but Charisma says she wants to be a better person for herself and her family. And then it helps her get in better shape and being in the water so that she feels more graceful. I totally understand that, Charisma. I also happen to be I don't know that astrology has to do with anything, but if I were to buy into the idea that I'm an earth sign, boy, does that water make me feel way good. Like taking baths is hugely important to me because I don't have a pool right now. So anyway, I get you, girl.
Well, and as we're moving through the questions, pay attention to the words that you're using. So like Charisma says that she wants to be in water because it feels graceful. So we're looking to find ways where we can embody what graceful feels like in our day-to-day life. Play is so important, and we've forgotten what it feels like to feel that joy. We've forgotten what it feels like to just be graceful. Like if you're in water, you're floating like seaweed, and you're just, you're graceful and you feel it. It's freedom, it's light, it's alive. And we've forgotten, and for good reason. We live in a loud, busy, stressful world, and we're bombarded with all the reasons to not be in joy. Worry about this, you have these responsibilities, have you finished this, all the things. And so the idea, this whole like breaking through the barriers, but the whole point is to just, can we find those ways where we can embody grace during our day, even if it's just stopping for a moment. And I'm going to invite you all to close your eyes for a moment and just stop what you're doing, put your utensils and things down, close your eyes, put your arms out to your side, and just kind of float your arms. Float your arms and let your body tell you how it wants to float. And we can float even though we're not in water. And I want you to continue to float. I'm going to read Robin's comment. She says, I find that I reserve my play until I trust others. And I like that because this is an invitation for you to trust yourself. And we want to feel safe. Obviously, we want to put ourselves into safe situations. But if we go in knowing that we are secure in our being, we can be in any situation and be safe, be ready, be grounded, because we trust ourselves. Okay. And I will say, you know, when I was working my 9-to-5 job, I was bombarded with stress and toxic energies all day long. And I would just stop and let my body float, you know, throw those arms out and move things around as if, you know, there's music playing and I have a glass of wine in my body, and just let it move. Because that's how you're going to move the stress of your day. And so we're going to talk about some specific things you can do for play, but even just the simple act of closing your eyes, taking in a couple slow, deep breaths, and embodying a float with your arms. If you're sitting in a chair, kind of lean back, let your legs kind of hover over the ground. And how does that feel? Tune into how it feels. And then the more you do this, you're going out into the world, say you're running errands, or you're going to your job, and how can you slip these little, you know, people may not even notice what you're doing. You can just slip them into your day-to-day stuff, and it's going to help move some of that stress. But these are ways that we can redefine play for ourselves. I know a little backstory. After my divorce, I spent a lot of time in bars, consuming large quantities of alcohol and dancing all hours of the night and meeting lots of colorful people and having beautiful experiences. And that was my primary way that I played. That's what grown-ups did, right? And I got married at 22, moved right in with my husband. I never had any of that time that people have to, you know, sow their wild oats. And so when I got divorced, I was like, all bets are off, right? So that was my form of play. But as I started evolving and growing on my path, that is not in alignment with me. And even now, you know, I've gotten to the point where, you know, I'll have a glass of wine every once in a while, and I treat it as an experiment now. Because when I feel the energy of wine around me, I get curious about it, and I use it as an experiment, because I used to use it to numb pain. And I have been able to bring that back around so that it's not numbing pain anymore, because I can sit with incredible pain. So I use it as an experiment, but it's not, you know, it's way more fun for me to go lay in a swimming pool and let the water cover my ears and pretend that I'm, you know, Ariel or somebody. Way more fun. But those are those things when I asked you if what you're doing is in alignment with who you are or who you want to be, or like Cheryl said, who people think you are or are to be. Because it's all about coming back to that alignment. And joy is our birthright. Joy is our birthright. So we don't have to explain it to anybody. We don't have to justify it to anybody. And like Sunny said earlier, you know, the weirdos are out now. Like, we have the support that we need to be fully self-expressed in the joy that is for us. You know, I bought this drum a couple months back, and I had no idea why I bought this drum, and I have fallen in love with it. And it has added just a wonderful new element to my world. And so when I was invited by Spirit to share it today, I was like, are you sure? Like, really? And there was no, where am I going with this? There was no doubt about what I wanted to do with it. There was no thoughts of, oh, well, what if they think I'm doing it wrong? Or what if they don't like my vibe? Or, you know, what if they say, you know, that sucks, Erin, you know, whatever the case may be. And it took me back to those places like grade school art classes, where, you know, you're given materials and said, you know, we're going to be doing this. And I had a teacher stand over my shoulder and tell me, you're doing it wrong. And having it be a lifetime of trying to figure out, there's nothing wrong with creativity. Everybody's creativity is right. Every single person's creativity is right. Every person's joy is right. We just have to be willing to get past those pieces of ourselves or others that keep us from feeling that joy. How's that feel with everybody? I mean, that feels big for me. Do you know what I mean? And I just wrote this book telling people how to live in joy. And full transparency, I struggle. And maybe this is why we as teachers are teaching what we teach, because it is our daily commitment to our own work. So it's not easy, but it's so simple. And it can be, just like I said, as easy as just letting your body float in your chair. It doesn't have to be, you can make up your own chant in your head. Think back to a favorite song. There's so many ways to bring joy into your world. You know, before I wrote this book and before I was published in the Wild Woman book, I was singing a song that I had made up. I was working at Costco at the time. I was singing a song that I made up about being a best-selling author. And I don't know, I don't remember all the words. It's so funny, but I remember it going, I am an author, a best-selling author. And I had went through, you know, You Are My Sunshine. Who doesn't know and love that song, right? You can take the tune of that song and put it to anything that you want to create, and it's going to bring that energy to it. And this was probably 2018, maybe 2019. And I didn't know this was going to happen. And these were just dreams that I'd been living with my whole life. But those are those elements, those playful elements. But we have to be willing to reach back. And we're going to do that in a little bit. We're going to take a trip back down our childhood lane. So next question. If you don't like the way play is showing up in your world, how would you redefine it? How would you redefine it? And what are some examples of that? Like what would you want it to look like? I love that song. You know, I used to be, Jamie, I see your hand. I'm going to jump in really quickly. Used to be a preschool teacher, used to be a kindergarten teacher, and I always worked inner city schools. And the way I got kids to listen to me, because I had, you know, I remember having a classroom of 25 kindergartners, all Spanish speaking kindergartners. And I could communicate with them with Spanish, but I wasn't supposed to be, because we weren't teaching that at the time. But when you close that door and you're the only person in the room, you're going to do whatever it takes to manage those little babies, right? But I would sing them songs because they all knew the songs, and I could make up any song. And I would also stand on a desk or a table, because I'm only 5'3", so standing up, it gave them a new perspective of me. And then I start singing what I want them to do. And I never had major behavior issues because I tuned into that aspect of them that they respond to, instead of being, the overbearing, controlling teacher, and not honoring their culture. I was like Mary Poppins. And how can, and that's how I made it. And that's how these kids were reading in English at the end of the year, because they were in a safe place where they were free to be themselves. And we, myself included, we need to get that back. We need to get that back. So Jamie, you had your hand up.
Ask if you don't mind to ask the question again, because I'm lost again.
Okay. So if you don't like, I know some of you were talking about the way that play does show up in your world. How would you redefine it for yourself? What would you like to see happening? Like what feels in total alignment with you? And, it might be going back to what was your favorite thing to do as a kid before somebody told you no, before somebody told you you were wrong, before somebody told you you were stupid. What was it that brought out your joy before somebody else had their say? Are you feeling that? I feel like
I'm feeling that.
I'm feeling something from somebody, because it just went whoosh.
Yeah. So I was a gymnast, and I was a competitive gymnast, and recruited, or potentially recruited, for the Olympic team at 12, which was really old for a gymnast. I technically was 11, but I was coming up on my 12th birthday.
Mhm.
And by the time I would be accepted or not accepted, 12, I was going to be 12. Anyway, one of the questions in the interview process to get on the Olympic team was, do you have a boyfriend? And I was heavy into boys. Since I was like 5, I just absolutely love male energy. It just, they made so much more sense to me than women did. And so I was always friends with boys. And so I had a lot of boyfriends. What was their problem? But it's interesting, because when I said yes, I saw the energy shift in them of being really excited to add me to their team, and to never mind. And so I kid you not, it drove a wedge between me and gymnastics. This, stupid question that some adult person asked. So that's what came up when I was like, how would it shift? What would it look like? What would you bring back from your childhood so gymnastics is the first thing that popped into my head, which is, I haven't thought about gymnastics in years.
Then the magic is working.
That's why you felt it strong, because I have a very deep personal connection to gymnastics. I will likely tell that story on Sunday, maybe.
Can I share a little side note with you? I was heavy into gymnastics, and my daughter we were going through some stuff in the garage yesterday, and she found a picture of me accepting a trophy. It was through Parks and Rec, and my parents didn't know enough, or were too stuck in their own financial everything, that they didn't know how to put me to the next level. But I could have gone to the next level. I loved it. But my daughter found this picture of me receiving a first place trophy for gymnastics through the Parks and Rec. And so that's another little synchronicity for us.
That's,
think
that's
that's
probably
beautiful.
why it hit you so hard, because I was feeling it strong. I was feeling it strong, like, holy cow, I haven't thought about gymnastics in forever.
Yeah.
But it was so important and such a, I mean, it's so time consuming when you're training that hard. It's such a
Right.
time consuming thing. And so it was literally, it was as if somebody had taken away my life, because that's how involved in it I was. And when they said no, it was like I all of a sudden lost all of this passion and yeah, I mean, it's like making me cry, because I didn't even know that it affected me that deeply, because I was like, whatever, fine, fuck you guys then. I mean, sorry. Um, screw you guys, I'm going home. Like,
Obscenities are allowed in my room. It made me think, you know, I had said I had never played the Red Rover game, and I was thinking back to what was it that I used to do, and thinking about, I used to do things that felt empowering. So I don't know what the playground equipment was on your playground, but we had tires that we could, you know, like you would jump the tires, or I was always on the monkey bars flipping around. And it just made me think of games that game didn't feel empowering to me. And maybe it was because, well, different factors, but also knowing that I didn't feel safe with people. You know, Robin was talking about she feels joy when she trusts people. I came from abusive upbringing. So I was by myself a lot because I didn't trust people. And it just made me wonder if in your experiences, if you chose things that were empowering as opposed to disempowering. Thoughts for anybody?
yeah, great question. I probably about half and half. Things that were empowering were obviously very profound, but so are things that are disempowering. They're very profound. They have a complete effect on how we show up.
For sure.
I just want to acknowledge Robin's comment over here. So you go for it.
I wrote poetry and did some drawings as a preteen and stored it in my closet. My stepmom threw them out, so it definitely had an effect on me. God, girl, that makes me want to cry, because I didn't do drawings, but I've been writing for forever, and those are sacred pages. So I just want to hold that with you for a minute, because that's really, really, that's your heart. Things that were empowering were times whenever I spent time in nature. Yes. Nature loves us no matter what. And if I've learned anything, that's it. So, whoo. You guys are awesome. I'm digging this. I'm so honored to sit in this space with everybody. Jamie, I completely relate. My mom wanted a pristine home, and my art was too messy for her.
It's interesting, because when I know exactly the moment when I stopped giving her art, and it was because she took my art. She was really good about acknowledging the effort and acknowledging the piece of art that I did. And she would put it on the refrigerator with, 4 magnets around each of the corners. And it would sit there for, I don't remember how long. It seemed like not long enough to me, but that's my shit. But let's say it was up for a week. Okay. It didn't get taken down and put into a nice little envelope or saved or whatever. It got put straight into the trash. And it was like, so when I realized that she was putting my art in the trash, I stopped giving it to her. And then, a couple months later, she said to me, like, you stopped giving me art. You just suddenly stopped giving me art. Why? What's the problem? I'm like, I don't know. Because I didn't really know. I just, hindsight, in some of the self-help work that I've done with myself, in hindsight, I realized that that was the moment that I stopped giving it to her, was the moment that I realized that she was just throwing it away anyway. So why would I give it to her?
Right.
But hurts my heart, So I feel you big time there, Robin.
Anybody else want to add anything to that?
I think returning to the original question about what would it look like for us? A frequency would be increased greatly for me, beyond a doubt. And going along the whole gymnastics wavelength, for lack of better words, mine would be pets and bringing them back into my world. But because of what I'm going to share Sunday, I can't. Not yet. But interestingly enough, and so now this is where, but like bringing, and I think that's why, joking all aside, that's why I gravitate towards my squirrels so much, because that whole nature thing, that whole love from something external, they look for you, huge that way. And that became my dogs were my play, 100%. Just like Jimmy with your cat going down the hallway at night, same principle. Like, you can play hide and seek with my chihuahuas. I could, totally like do this and this and this. So it's interesting that came up.
That is beautiful. Yes. Good stuff here, ladies. Good stuff. Pets just love. Yes, they do. I know we have 4 cats in this house, and my daughter is taking them when she moves out. And I'm really thrilled that she's taking them, because I've decided that I just want to be their grandma and not their mom. She doesn't help me a lot with them. But they're like 4 children. They're like having 4 toddlers around. And so while they make all the messes and act like crazy fools sometimes, they are also just the best, and bring me back to that space of, when things get stressful. Like when I was writing my book, they would sit in a circle on the table around my computer, depending on what was moving through me that day. So pets are just incredible. Yeah, they do beg for food.
It was interesting in the disempowering and empowering choices too. What came to my head is all the times that, and I'm not saying this from I don't know, I'm just going to say it, but like I would throw the game, because I'm okay being a loser because I want to cheer for the winner, and so like that whole, I would disempower myself to empower somebody else. But in the meantime, I was totally freaking loving it, because I could totally cheer for that. Exactly, Jamie, you get it. Like I could totally like, what? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just lost, but yay, you won. And like intentionally giving them that moment. But so I was disempowering me, but yet in turn, I was empowering myself too, because I knew I was giving it at that point.
Right. All right. Any last thoughts? We'll roll on to the next question. So what or who holds you back from experiencing your joy?
I do. I'll even beat Jamie to this one, because it's only me. Because I would not give anybody else the opportunity to take that power. I would be pissed at any of you that if you ever tried to take that from me. I'd be mad at you. As a matter of fact, I'd cut you off. It would just be that easy.
So why do you do it for yourself?
Jamie has something to say.
I know she did, and she's going to hold it, but I'm going to ask the question.
Interestingly enough, I let me think on that, actually. Great question. I appreciate you prodding it.
I'm thinking that it has something to do with what you said about throwing a game for somebody else to win. I feel like there's a parallel in there. So, but I'm gonna come back to you. Jamie, go.
Oh. I love it. I love it when Cheryl gets chosen, because she keeps to herself very much. Anyway, we'll stop picking on Cheryl for a minute. Just a minute, though. So who or what holds you back? Of course, my instant reaction is myself, of course.
Right.
And then this memory comes to me. It's not even a memory. It happens almost every single time Jacelyn and I are out hanging out together, shopping specifically. Anytime we're walking through the aisles of a clothing store, inevitably so backpedal a little. Jacelyn is musically oriented. Okay, so she
Yes.
always has some sort of music going on in her head, and she's always moving to it. So she's got this natural instinct to want to dance or move to music. Now, when we're in a store, she doesn't have earbuds in. There's nothing playing usually on the overhead speakers. But inevitably, she's walking down the aisle, like strutting down the aisles, kind of shaking her little tushy to whatever she hears in her head. And it's
Right.
so fun and so playful. I've taken videos a couple of times now just because I want to like capture that moment of just free play, being herself. She don't give a crap who's looking at her. And she's a teen. So I'm like, that's so exciting to me to be able to see her be herself in that moment. And so I want to do that more. So it's like, okay, that memory came up so that I can remind myself that I can do that too.
Well, and start slow with the float, right? That was something like I would see all these younger kids at work doing the same sort of thing. And these are kids that are like in their late teens, early 20s, bebopping, through their day. And I'm like, I want to do that, but something kept holding me back. But I would start with just the little, because the little will start to add up. And then you get to a point where you're like, I don't really care anymore. You know what I mean? So that's what I love about this idea of the float. Because you can just be like, oh, I just got to stretch my back. You know, I'm just going to, people don't need to know what your motivation is. So you can play it off however you want to. Any other thoughts? Are you checking Facebook? Okay.
I did check Facebook. There's no comments out there.
No comments.
as of
Okay.
now.
Okay. All right. Robin, did you have any thoughts on that comment before I move on? I mean, on that question?
Sort of.
Oh, yay, your voice.
Well, I also have roommate right now. So, yeah, I think I have a lot of healing and forgiving and letting go to do before, but I also know that I guess that's all me, my work that I have to do for myself first. Not that I can, I mean, I have a lot of nature around me. Even where I'm living, I feed birds, I feed cats, they all come to me. It's like a nature preserve in my little corner. But but that's my joy right now. And nothing's holding me back from that. But the rest of it, is a lot of healing. I went through a lot of trauma right before the pandemic. So I'm still, but this is an opportunity. And right now I'm in a place where I'm finally starting to say, okay, I'm ready to grow again. I'm ready to experience joy, right?
Yay.
So
Thank you for being here and sharing that with us. And keep doing the nature because that will work.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can tell you that even, I had a rough childhood too. And so nature was my friend. I would go outside and I would talk to the animals and they would come. So that brought me joy. And so I think that's been something that's always been innate in me. And that always has been a place of reconnecting to source, getting out of my head and getting into the feels.
Right.
So that's all.
Awesome. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Cindy, did you want to throw anything out there before we go on to the next question? No? Okay. Well, what would you be willing to risk for joy? Because we talked earlier, I know I'm just thinking of the words that you guys have thrown out there of, lightness and fun and freedom and unrestricted and graceful and all these things. And those all feel amazing. And what would you be willing to risk for that?
Can I ask a question?
Please.
What made you choose the word risk?
I don't know. The question popped into my head, and most of my questions I had done like a week or so ago, and this one just popped up right before it popped up, I think, during the first presentation today.
I remember a time, probably about 10 years ago, I was in San Diego on the beach, and there was this volleyball going on, and someone had asked me if I wanted to join, and I said, oh, no. But at the same time, deep inside, I was thinking, this is an opportunity. I could say yes. And so when you said risk, that came up for me, because to me, the only risk in nature is, a bear, which isn't going to happen. But when it comes to other people, for me personally, and putting myself out of the comfort zone,
Right.
with total strangers is harder. But I was aware. So I could see that would have been a risk.
Yes,
is that the
for
kind
sure.
of risk you were talking about? Maybe.
It's whatever risk resonates with you, because we have to, when I think of it, I think of like, are you willing to risk being perceived as foolish? Are you willing to risk being perceived as stupid, or possibly, I'm going to use the word retarded? Are you willing to risk somebody thinking something about your mental state? These are all things that I have thought of in coming out with this work that I do. Are people going to even listen to me? But I was experiencing so much joy, I had to release all of that and just surrender and be like, I don't give a shit anymore, because I know what this feels like inside my body. And we don't really know until we become aware of what we're missing. But once we start to get it back in there and we're like, you know what? No, it's not worth it. I'm not willing to risk feeling that way any longer. You can think whatever you want about me. I'm not interested in your opinion. And it's a really hard place to get to because I'm not fully there. I'm in the middle of a bunch of creative projects right now that I'm super excited to share with people, and I'm still struggling with putting them out there. They're coming very soon, by the way. I'm getting more and more courage each day. But so it's still there. It's a daily mindful awareness, a practice of, what is holding me back from this, from sharing something that I created, from sharing, how I experience joy, all of that. So it's definitely, we're all on the same path, and we're all doing great. That's the thing, is all these little nuggets of awareness. Even, when you go to sleep tonight, all these little things you've been pondering, joy is going to start showing up in your world, because you're taking this information and you're thinking about all of those things that used to bring you joy. You're going to take it with you into your sleep, and it's going to start to integrate into your cells. And the more it integrates into your cells, the less fucks you're going to give. And you're going to start to watch yourself behave differently. And that's how I knew, like, that's what gave me the courage to come out with doing the work that I do. Because the more I listened and tuned in to the things that I thought people would ridicule me for, I started behaving differently. I started speaking differently. And, you know, in something where I used to whisper behind my hand about, oh, I see dead people and, oh, I see fairies. And now I'm like, this is it. This is my experience. You know, what do you think about that? You want to learn how to do it? Just it, but it takes a little bit. So, but you're all on the right path for sure. For sure. Samantha Kellie, breathing coach on Instagram, says that all the time, the more you love yourself, the less fucks you give. That feels like a compliment because I started following her and that feels like a compliment. So thank you for sharing that. But it's true. It's so true. So any last thoughts on that? What did I miss? Cheryl. Hold on, I'm scrolling here for a minute. I find most do not express their opinion, but we damn well think they have one and we think it's negative. So yes, that's us again, getting in our own way. Because most times, at least from what I hear, people aren't thinking about us at all. Right?
Or
Cindy?
go, Cindy.
Okay. The risk of knowing happiness. It's a big one. Just knowing it, allowing it, the risk of being happy, and then maybe the crash. I mean, to allow myself to know happy. And that's part of play.
Yes.
It's scary, it's silly, but it's not silly. It's real. It's real.
It's very real.
It's
For
terrible.
sure.
Sad.
It's, yeah. Because your little self, your little whatever age you are able to think back to right now, where you envision yourself playing with absolute freedom, that little self doesn't have any of these belief systems, doesn't have any of those thoughts running rampant in their mind. They don't have any of those trauma points in their body. They just know freedom. They just know the joy. So, all righty. So in the beginning, I invited you all to get a blindfold. Actually, you know what, before we get to that, hold on a second. I want to read you a little something. Actually, two little somethings. So I do a whole chapter on the essence of Fae, and essentially the essence of Fae is joy, pure and simple. And one of the things that came up when I was writing this book was I was reminded of an episode of Friends. Anybody watch Friends ever? And in the episode, Rachel joins Phoebe running in the park. Rachel's totally embarrassed, running beside Phoebe because her arms flail about while her legs awkwardly gallop down the sidewalk. Phoebe could not care less. She's a free spirit and completely at ease in her body and the way it runs. She's having fun and she knows it. Her joy is what's important, not what others may think. Rachel is mortified. Moral of the story, be Phoebe. Be Phoebe. And, you know, you might have to get underneath some layers of some stuff, but we all have the capacity to feel that freedom. We all have it. It hasn't left us. It's just buried under, you know, decades of programming and adulting. And then one more thing. I'm going to ask that you close your eyes, take in a slow, deep breath, And I'm just going to ask you to listen to my voice, breathe into the words, and pay attention to whatever feels come up for you. This is just an awareness piece. Take a walk with me, friend, back to a time when you were a young child. Take my hand. You are safe here. Look around as we walk through your neighborhood. Your eyes are bright, wide, taking in all the colors, the shapes, the smells of nature's beauty wafting across your face. You're turning this way and that. You just can't seem to get enough. You stop at a rose bush and bury your face into a bright pink bloom. I hear you inhale deeply. You turn to me smiling ear to ear. This is joy. We walk along further. A cool breeze whispers across our cheeks. You giggle. I can't help but smile watching you. You take off running ahead about 25 feet. You stop, turn to face the sky, and with arms outstretched, you begin to twirl. I catch up to you, turn to face the sky, and with arms outstretched, I begin to twirl as well. This is joy. You grab my hand and lead me further down the sidewalk. I'm looking off to the side at the wise old oaks that line the street when I hear you gasp. I look over to see an enormous black and yellow butterfly dancing around your face. Your eyes are lit up, watching it dart back and forth. I watch it land on your nose. You freeze. You just made a friend. It looks you in the eye, gives you a gentle kiss, and flies off. This is joy. I share that with you because joy is something that is there for us at every moment of every day. And personally, I struggle looking for, what is it that I want to do? And I'm looking for tangible items. But if you're looking for a space to start in nature. Because joy is in nature every minute of every day. And all you would need to do is go out and sit with your squirrels, put your back up against a tree, talk to your animals. I imagine that I call myself Snow White because I will go out into the yard and all of a sudden I've got all creatures and bugs and everything just around me. You can even go out and imagine yourself as Snow White. Put your arms out. That is joy. And we have access to it whenever we need it. And that can be a perfect starting point to getting to those places where you can begin to build the confidence and the courage to do those other things, so that if somebody invites you to play in a volleyball game, you're going to be like, yeah, I want to play. And you're not going to second guess yourself. You're going to say yes to things that you would have said no to. And we can find that courage. We can find that peace. We can find that grace in nature. And it's free. We don't have to tell anybody. We don't have to do anything that we don't have to do anything awkward. It's just there waiting for us. Because all those other pieces will come in time. All right. Are you ladies ready to, show me your silly? I'm watching some faces. So at the beginning of this, I asked you if you are willing to be seen. And I invited you to get a blindfold. And you would only be being seen by me. And there won't be any music or anything going on with this. You're just going to hear my voice kind of walking you through it. Okay. But I'm going to ask that you find your space, stand up, find your space, because you're going to need to move around a little bit.
I was going to just ask if we need to stand for this.
Yes, yes. So you'll stand, I'll stand, because I'm going to guide you guys through this, okay? And this is an invitation for trust. This is an invitation for trust. I'm asking you to trust me on this. I'm asking you to trust yourself on this. And yeah. So when you are ready, put your blindfold on. Okay, once your blindfold is on, I'm going to ask you to bring your hands into prayer position in front of your heart. And let your body gently sway back and forth. Just a sway. And as you are moving through this sway, think to yourself what barrier you would like to break through that would bring more joy into your life. And this is just for you. Keep swaying. I want you to take deep breaths in as you think about what barrier you would like to break through. And when you are ready, I'm going to have you drop your arms to your side. And I'm going to invite you back to a time when you were a young child. And I want you to choose the age that was your most joyous. And as you're sitting there wandering back to the age that was the most joyous for you, I want you to continue to sway. Let your arms dangle. Keep that gentle sway. Think about what age you were. Think about how great it felt to be that age. The freedom you felt in your body, the games you love to play, your favorite songs. What stories did you like to tell people? What were your favorite clothes to wear? Think about all of those aspects that brought you joy as a child. And keep that sway. And as you're thinking about the joy, I want you to breathe deeply into it. Imagine that joy moving from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. Let that joy move freely through your body. And then I'm going to invite you to start shaking your hands. Your arms are dangling. Start shaking your hands. Keep the sway. Now I'm going to ask you to start shaking your hips. Whatever that looks like, because your joy is moving you. So it's not going to look like everybody else's joy. Start shaking your shoulders. Maybe you've got a favorite song playing in your head. Shaking your shoulders, shaking your hands, letting your arms just dangle. They're noodles, they're wet noodles, and they're slimy, right? And they're just dangling down. Let those hips shake. Let those glutes shake. Oh, you guys are doing awesome. And wherever you're at right now with your movement, I want you to bump it up by 5. So whatever that 5 looks like for you, bump it up. And as you feel ready, and use your joy as a barometer, as you feel ready, bump it up another notch. Let your joy flow through you so that you're still moving. Even if all you're doing is shaking it out. Keep shaking it, ladies. Shake the glutes, shake the hips. Oh, I love it so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Keep shaking. All right, now I want you to keep your sway. And I want to invite you to give your body permission to move however it wants to move. How does your body want to move? And the joy is what's moving it. So let your joy be in control. Is it smooth and slow? Are you floating? Are you still shaking it? Whatever feels good for you. And I'm going to count backwards from 5. And when I get down to 1, bring your body back into a place of stillness. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back into stillness. Take in a deep breath. Tell your body thank you. Tell your joy thank you. Give your joy permission to return whenever you invite her back in. And breathe into that. And when you feel ready, you can take your blindfold off. Move slowly, move slowly. Anybody feel like sharing?
I'll be the first guinea pig. Fun. I felt a little off balance because, of course, not being able to see is challenging for my balance in particular. I got tired really fast, just because my body is that out of shape. But it was super, super fun to feel the energy flow through and have it be, in a meditative state. For me, the energy flows really fast. It's even in my most, it's almost like it flows so fast that eventually it's just bright, right? It's just light. But I always feel in the very beginning kind of it coursing through and then getting faster and faster and faster until it's so vibrating and that's just one of the ways that I get into it. But it felt like that feeling. It felt like there was that vibration of super, super high speed, super light. But because my body's out of shape, it felt very off balance for me. So I was like worried a little bit during it, which was interesting.
For me, it felt good to move, first of all, because I realized that I don't move often enough, number one. But then, like, when you start analyzing moves, I realized that my sway was literally the infinity symbol the whole time.
Oh, yay.
But then I also found that I had to consciously pull my hands out of my jean pockets at least a dozen times because it's just habit.
Yep.
Instead of letting them just fall. So it was interesting.
Good. Who do we have here? Hold on. Trying to see the comment. Did I miss it? Oh, Robin. Yay. Sorry, it was not scrolling for me. It felt like joy was getting grounded into my body. That is gorgeous because that's where we want it. We want it grounded into our body because then we can just access it whenever we need to. And it doesn't have to be, I took you through a bunch of different speeds and movements. It doesn't have to be fast. It can be some of the most powerful movement I have done has been to really deep, soulful music where I put a blindfold on. That's the kind of music that you might sit in a dark room with a drink. Like, I don't know if I'm describing it in the right way, but if you allow your body to just it can be as slow and intentional as you need it to be. And I experienced joy as an adult from that kind of energy. So it doesn't have to be, shaking your tail feather to experience joy. It can be slow, deliberate, intentional. It can be, because some of the music, and this is part of the idea of somatic dance. So you're just getting into the feel of it and you're just moving the emotion. So there were times when I'm moving really heavy, say grief, and all of a sudden I start to feel joy. And I'm laughing and crying at the same time because I had never felt joy in my body as an adult. And it came because I held space for the grief through movement. Does that make sense? So your movement can be whatever feels right in whatever that moment is for you. In the beginning of the exercise, when we started allowing our hands to move, I imagined the Peanuts dancing from the Christmas one, which is all about being joyful. Now I'm going to have to go find that little clip because I don't remember.
And what's sad is I can hear the piano now.
That I can
Yeah.
hear. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So
That's a great scene. You're going to love that. You're going to love that one. And you'll totally understand what I mean because each of the characters has their single repetitive movement that they do, but it felt like all of them combined into one experience for me. But so yeah, you'll totally love it.
Is that the Charlie Brown Christmas? Is that one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll share it with you on.
Okay. Cindy, did you want to add anything about anything that came up for you? No? All right. So it's 5:55, which is a beautiful place to make our plan of action. And before we get to that point, and Jamie, just a heads up too, I think it's possible I might finish a little bit before 6:15. Is that okay? Okay. So some of the things that I talk about in the book in terms of bringing play back into our world as adults is we have to tap into those childhood spaces. And one of the things I talk about in the book is making mud pies. And we used to do that. My sister and I, we used to do this when we were kids, and we would do it with our cousins. And we'd make these mud pies, and then we would throw them at the house and to see which ones would stick. And we just thought it was the most fun game ever. And the beautiful part about it is because it engages so many sensory elements. It's cold, it's wet, it's slimy, and it's a perfect way to come back to those places in childhood that we may have forgotten. Now, the thing with this specifically for us was we got in trouble every time we did it. So part of this, I'm going to say homework. It's not really homework, but part of the deeper part of it is if there's something that you feel drawn to do, but it triggers an old painful memory, there's healing around that for you. It's not the thing that you're trying to do. It's the wound that was created when somebody else stepped in and imposed their fear, anger, whatever on it. So keep that in mind when you're looking at things to bring joy into your world, when you make your plan. Okay, so mud pies, looking for anything that engages your senses and your sensory input. Okay, bubbles are huge because I don't know a person that does not feel excited when they see bubbles. And it got to the point where I was keeping some in my car. And, if you're sitting in a traffic jam and you're sitting around the energy of unhappy people, angry, unhappy people, pull your bubbles out and just start blowing them. Because if you let them go out the window, you're going to start brightening everybody else's day around you. The ones that are, the ones that are open. And bubbles are also great. I kept them in my car and I would use them on my lunchtime when I was at work, when I was still working my 9 to 5. So there's something that depending on your place of work, I couldn't do it inside the warehouse. So I would do it out by my car on my lunch break. But bubbles have been a game changer for me. And I literally think too, I want to say it was about a year ago, January was one of the last times I was using the bubbles at work. And we had this empty, the warehouse was the only thing that was built in the area. So there was lots of empty farmland, not empty, but farmland, not developed, right? So I would go across the street from the warehouse into this farm field. And I think I was taken into another dimension because I would walk back into work after my lunch period was up and I would just be floating on air. And I literally spent maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes just blowing bubbles in a field. But it was a game changer and it saved me. It saved me. Singing is a game changer. Dancing is a game changer. And all of these things require us to get out of our own way and what we think other people will think of us. Look at, love that. When I look for joyful childhood experiences, if there is heaviness around the memory of the experience, there's healing work to be done. Yes, bubbles are definitely necessary in LA traffic. I mean, clearly, you know, operate from a responsible, safe place. But, you know, if you're stuck, bubbles are great. And it's not likely that a cop will pull you over for blowing bubbles. Whereas if you're on your phone scrolling, you might get pulled over. So let's see, singing, dancing. We talked about bubbles, mud pies. Oh, skipping. Skipping is one of my favorite things to do. Several years ago, I used to teach functional fitness boot camps for women, and we used skipping as one of the things I would do like during the warm up. Because once you get going, you want to get your arms swinging, like you're moving your body, and it is going to generate that joy. And granted, honor your body where it's at right now. You don't have to go overboard. Even when you come out of the grocery store with your shopping basket, ride the basket to your car. It generates the same feeling. We're just looking for simple ways of things that we, you know, we're always in the grocery store. This is a simple way to generate that joy inside your body, because that's what you're looking for, is that current, that feeling inside your body. Anybody have thoughts or other ideas they want to add?
When you said ride the shopping basket, I do that so often. Every time I do it, I think of the movie Cocoon. Do you remember that movie? I mean, I'm, you know, totally edging myself.
It's been a long time. I would have to go back and watch it.
When all of them start to feel younger and more fit and healthier and more vibrant, all that kind of good stuff. That's one of the scenes that one of the guys jumps on the cart and rolls to the parking spot, and it's so fun and very much, you know, I feel like a kid again, you know, that kind of thing. So cute.
Yes. All right. So are you guys ready to make your action plan for bringing more joy? Hold on a second. All right. So I'm going to invite you all, because this is part of the accountability piece, to either speak it out loud or write it in the comments of what you're choosing. Choosing 1 to 3 ways or 3 things or 3 experiences, 1 to 3 of what you would be willing to bring into your life on a regular basis. And once you have your 3 things, raise your hand or throw it in the comments. Let me know. Okay, so I'm seeing, keep working on yours, Jamie and Cindy, keep working. I'm seeing more singing from Robin. Cheryl says more music, more movement, and more time in nature. Okay, these are awesome, awesome, awesome. Waking with good dancing music in the morning. Yes, such a great way to start the day. And I'm going to throw in too, one of the ways that I've added more dancing into my life is by doing it in the shower, because there's something magical that happens when you have no clothes on and it's just you, and you can, you know, shake it like nobody's watching and enjoy yourself in that absolute naked freedom. It's also a really beautiful way to learn to love your physical body more. That's something that I had to start doing after a bunch of health issues that were going on in my world, with that resulted in a lot of weight gain and disfiguring of my physical body. So being in the shower is a big one for that. Jamie says, sing in the shower, buy bubbles and keep them in my car and get into nature. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Cindy, are you thinking? No? Anything going on Facebook? No? Okay. All right, so think about, Cindy, I'm going to move on a little bit. When you're ready, throw yours in the comments, okay? Think about what you've chosen. Think about how often do you want to, how often do you need it? Like, how often do you want it daily? Do you, is it enough for you to have it, once weekly? Like what is a good starting point for you of adding these into your world? And after you decide that on how frequently you want to experience this, when are you going to begin? What date? You can even put down a time if you want to put down a time, but set a date for yourself that you will begin. Jamie?
So I put starting Sunday just because tomorrow I think is going to be a little too soon for me. But starting Sunday, I'm going to get into nature at least once a week, because LA is, or where I live in LA is seriously a concrete jungle. Like I looking out my window, I see one tree. That's it. Which makes me nuts, but that's a whole nother story. Buy bubbles, keep them in my car, and I added and use them once a week.
Yes, yes. And also just a little side note, be mindful of the temperature over there, because when it starts to get too hot, you want to not leave those bubbles in your car.
Yeah, we park in a garage, so I'm good with the temperature. We don't get too hot over here. But I love the idea of adding a little piece of joy. I mean, even in the grocery store parking lot, or something. I mean, I giggle and laugh when I see somebody else ride the cart. Mm-hmm. Like it brings me joy. So it's spreading joy, right? So,
well, even if there's the when you're in the grocery store, like the toy aisle. The toy aisle in a grocery store is, I don't know what it is, but it's like all of the old fashioned toys. It seems like it's not like a legit toy store, right? But it's like you can find slinkies and, whoopee cushions and, who doesn't want to hear a good fart sound and laugh at that, right? I don't know.
I kid you not, there are no toy sections in the grocery stores out here. That's no wonder why these people are so cranky.
People need bubbles and whoopee cushions.
They do. I agree. So I am going to add bubbles to people's lives at least once a week. And then singing in the shower. I think every time I get in the shower, that's something I can absolutely add, and that will bring me joy and lift my vibration even more.
Yes. Yes. Anybody else want to share? Cheryl?
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to, in my head, I think I crave silence, which is kind of crazy, but I do. Like I work once they all leave, everything's turned off. Like even I can sit upstairs for hours just in silence. I get in my car, I turn off the radio if I've already had it on. It's interesting, but I recognize that I could have some uplifting music in the background or some noise. But don't get me wrong, I can't sleep in silence. So every night I go to sleep to ocean waves or rain on my little Alexa. Yes. And so it's interesting that I can't sleep in silence, but yet I crave silence during the day. But yet I also recognize that silence also buys me way too much time in my head some days. And so having some kind of nice distraction when it comes to the music, I'm blessed that I do have my squirrels come to me every morning for food. Like that's just, as a matter of fact, I will pause all of you to feed them. And so like it literally is, they both stand right here at the window. They stare me down until I go to the front door, and then they come in, they get their food and they go out. But yeah. So
would you be willing to share some pictures of those with me?
I would yeah, actually I have videos of them taken right out of my hand. I'm very, very, very fortunate with my two little critters.
I would love
here
to see those if you're willing to share those.
Happily do it. But the music, I think will be an amazing addition to my little world. So that's kind of neat.
Awesome. And when do you want to start that?
Monday, after we get through the weekend.
Yeah. Monday's a good day.
Monday's a good day. Get through Sunday.
I decided.
Yeah.
What I'd be willing to let in is daily guided meditation. Starting. That's it.
Okay. That's perfect.
And
that's perfect. When do you want to start doing that?
50 years ago.
When are you willing to start doing that?
I think Monday would be a good part of what I'm doing all around setting up daily action plans.
Sounds good.
Because I wear bells, I have bubbles, I ride the car. I mean, I do these things. It ain't happening at a soul level.
I hear you. It's a daily practice.
Absolutely.
Daily practice. So I am by no means an expert, or I wouldn't even put myself up there with people that know how to play. I have a lot of earth in my being, and I'm an air sign, and I take life very seriously. And so it's hard to find those moments where I can just remove myself from my perceived enormity of my obligations on this planet and just enjoy, right? Just be like, this is awesome. So, all right, let me make sure. Did I cover everything? I think I covered everything. I just want to honor everybody that's watching this right now, because it really, this presentation took me even further out of my comfort zone with some of the elements. And I just want to thank you for being here and sharing and being vulnerable. And all of that is so healing. And we've been talking about this ripple effect. It's literally been going through every presentation so far today. And it's all because we're doing it. Like, we're all doing it. By showing up, you're doing it. So even if you're not ready, even if Monday comes and goes and you don't do your action plan, please remember that you're still on path for joy. You don't have to earn it. You are still on path for joy. And, you know, these are the ways that I tapped into it from when I was a kid. Be open to something specific that may come to you tonight during your sleep. Maybe a memory pops up and you go, holy shit, I remember when I used to do, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's yours. So be open to the possibilities of joy, because there's endless possibilities of joy. So that's it, ladies. It's been amazing. Amazing. And I'm so
Holy
grateful.
cow.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful. We're so grateful for you. Thank you so much for this. Has been fantastic. Talk about getting out of your comfort zone and examining something that's so easy, in quotes, to add to our daily experience. You know, tapping back into that joy, that playfulness, that, I mean, it came so naturally when we were kids. What the heck?
Well, it makes me think of, you know, when Sunny said, when she wakes up in the morning and she asks herself, how good can you handle it today?
Right.
Like, that is a beautiful question to ask yourself. Like, how much joy could I handle today? How much play can I handle today? And then just open up and let it in. And let it in.
Love it.
I don't know.
Love it. So true.
Oh.
So just to recap in front of you, I'll do this again later, but my major takeaway from this is joy is our birthright. We do not have to earn it.
No, ma'am.
What? Like, I know, I mean, it seems like a completely a duh statement, but holy cow, I haven't even thought that way in God in too many years. So thank you. Yay. Absolutely amazing. So very grateful for your time today, your energy, and what a wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. And all because, you know, it was Red Rover and it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, what am I supposed to do with Red Rover? Oh.
I love it. So this is actually a perfect example of following your intuition, you guys. Follow your intuition. And like Sunny said, it doesn't make sense. It's 99.9% of the time, intuition is so ridiculous. You're like, what the heck? No, you don't really want me to do that, do you?
Like, if you could see inside my head, it's either movie quotes, song lyrics, like so much guidance comes through that way. And I'm like, all right, I'm here for it. I don't know what that means. Little jingles.
Absolutely love it. So true. Okay, so let me just close this up by reminding everybody that tomorrow we have 3 additional speakers. Kellie Haehnel with Embracing the Movement of Community, returning to the beat of your heart from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's California time. We have Jean Bishop, who hosts Facebook groups with more than 100,000 followers. And, you know, he is in a very, very niche industry, the aviation industry. So he's going to walk us through basically talking about niching ourselves and how powerful and impactful that can be for your community as a whole and building the community around that niche. I'm really excited to hear about that. That will be from 10:15 to 12:15. We'll take a super short lunch break from 12:15 to 1, and I'll join you with a presentation. Make sure you look for the class supplies list, because if you choose to craft while we're while we're together, you will need some materials to do that. So look for that. But that presentation is on Feng Shui vision boards, specifically Feng Shui your vision board, because you guys, I'm going to show you tomorrow. It's absolutely incredible the kinds of things that have come off of those vision board pages and into my life, and how quickly it happens. It's pretty darn cool. So ever since I started Feng Shuiing my vision board. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. It's going to be super fun. That is from 1 to 3 tomorrow. Again, this is California time. And if you have not registered yet to be in the Zoom room, I highly recommend that you do so. It is much more intimate, it is much more exciting. We are broadcasting this to Facebook Live purely because we wanted to reach whoever can pop in and out and make them not feel self-conscious about popping in and out. So thank you so much for being here today with Erin Christine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. And look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow morning,
Yes.
bright and early.
Yes.
Have a fabulous rest of your Friday evening.
You
We'll
do the
see you again
same.
tomorrow.
Good night, ladies.